Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some social snipers gameplay. I got this gameplay a little while ago. It's an 18 and free. Nothing too special, because to be quite honest with you guys, I haven't actually been playing that much Halo 5 whatsoever. It's probably the Halo game I've played the least. That includes the Master Chief Collection. I actually played a little bit more than I probably should have played than the Master Chief Collection. The same goes for Halo Reach, two games that kind of drove me round the bend. But nonetheless, I haven't been playing Halo 5, not because of my dislike of the game. I'm not particularly angry with the direction that they've taken Halo 5 in. I actually kind of enjoyed the movement abilities. I do have a couple of gripes and bugbears here and there, but they're nothing too serious. I haven't really played enough of Halo 5 to give my full overall impressions in comparison to Halo 4. Halo 4 was obviously a game I spent a bunch of time with, and I was super experienced with. So I feel like I can give my overall opinion in a fair amount of detail, whereas with this, I kind of have to be a bit more general, and I kind of make sweeping statements, so I'm kind of waiting till I get back into the rhythm of Halo 5 and play a bit more before I start throwing my opinions around willy-nilly, because I'm not particularly an expert of the game. But before I go into that, I'd just like to say why I have not been active on the YouTube channel for the last couple of months, and you're probably wondering where I disappeared to. And this wasn't due to dissatisfaction with YouTube or a lack of enjoyment with gaming or something like that. Gaming is just something I'm never going to get over. It's just always been pretty much an addiction for me. It got its hooks into me, and it never really let go. You know, a lot of people you'll speak to in their teenage years, and they get to this sort of age where there's this cut-off point where they're like, you know what, I mean, I enjoyed gaming for what it was, but I think I've had my fill. I'll come back to a couple of old titles now and again due to nostalgia, but that's about it. No, for me, I only got more serious about gaming. In fact, I started attending tournaments for Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is something I never would have considered doing. I wasn't particularly the most competitive person growing up. I just had this avid appreciation and enjoyment for games, and I was like, oh, I can't let it lie like that. And that's kind of why I took a step back at first. It was really getting into Melee and attending these tournaments and trying to take it seriously. You know, Super Smash Bros. Melee has a really high skill cap, and it's not a game that you can just, hope that natural talent will carry you to this level. No, you really have to grind at that game, and you really have to put an extreme amount of time into the title to be proficient at it. And then I was going to tournaments for that. Across the country. I managed to get top 25 in the United Kingdom, which was something I was really proud of at the time, because going into it, I didn't know if I had, the competitive edge. I thought that I could get good enough at the game, but I wasn't someone who was really competitive with my friends, growing up. I enjoyed being good, of course, but, it wasn't something I was eager to prove and eager to set out. And I was kind of just proving to myself, really, when I was competing in Melee. This wasn't a dislike of other people or this need to prove to other people how much better I am than them personally. It was nothing like that. It was just kind of like, I think I can do this. I think I'm good at this, so I want to give it a go. And the last tournament I attended, or one of the last major tournaments that I attended, actually took place in Sweden. I flew over to Gothenburg. And unfortunately for me, I ended up getting really sick over there. I didn't have the best tournament place. I actually started getting the shakes over there, which at the time I didn't know if it was due to anxiety. In my head I didn't feel that anxious. And I thought, this is crazy. My head isn't exactly spinning around, so why are my hands so shaky? It was something I'd never experienced before. And at the time, I put it down to, well, my subconscious must have been choking horribly. But what had actually happened was I was getting an early symptom of glandular fever, which is something I had. So I got this condition in November, and it actually carried through to me all the way up until pretty much now. It's definitely wearing off at this point. But basically the symptoms that this caused was kind of sore throats, but mainly this extreme tiredness and fatigue, this bodily fatigue, and it essentially knocked me on my back for a really long duration of time. And it's not even completely worn off, but it's worn off to the point that I know I'm going to recover from it in the next week or 2 weeks of just a little bit more sleep. And I'll be good to go. But it's actually been a really frustrating thing, because for me, I consider myself, especially, you know, when it comes to my hobbies, I'm a pretty high energy person. I really like to throw myself into whatever I'm doing. You know, when it comes to Halo, I like to play this aggressive playstyle. I like to go in, I like to, you know, make stuff happen. And even in the parties that I'm in, and when I'm playing these long sessions, I'll end up drinking energy drinks, or I'll end up drinking coffee, and I just want to go crazy. I want to wild out. I really do enjoy playing these games in a high energy setting, and I just didn't even have the energy to play games in that mindset anymore and in that mood. And I ended up going and playing a bunch of single player games. You know, when you're sick and like you spend this long ass time like watching really old TV shows or just playing really mindless games. That's basically what I was up to. I wasn't particularly having the most fun. I was just trying to pass the time, and I was just praying for the day when I'd feel that I had that energy coming back to me. And I'm really sorry, guys, for leaving you in the dark and for not really necessarily being upfront about what was going on and just taking this really long hiatus. But the fact of the matter is, I don't like being this guy who strings you along and gave you updates. You know, at the time, I would have tried to give some sort of estimate or some sort of forecast, but I would have ended up being wrong. And I didn't want to come onto the channel and create content that I didn't think was like up to scratch and make a bunch of update videos. I just thought it would be disappointing, and I think there's a fair amount of disappointment that goes on in the Halo community from certain YouTubers. You know, not everyone can keep their fan base happy and can keep people with a good supply of content. So I didn't want to drag you guys through the muck and say, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Just give it 2 weeks and I'll be banging. Like, no, I knew that wasn't the case. So I knew I just needed to take a step back. But now, I'm feeling a lot better. And I think I'm kind of ready to bring content, and I think it's come at a good time, to be honest, because there's some good games coming out, in my opinion, on the horizon. I think Overwatch looks like a really strong contender, and it looks like something I would personally enjoy. I think the art direction's awesome on it, and I like the slightly more futuristic vibe. You know, it's something they're committing to. You get a lot of these militaristic games, like these Call of Duties, that kind of dip their toes but don't go all the way, whereas Overwatch, you know, it's got its own theme, and it's set in its own timeline, and I really like the themes going on with that game. Then another title is Doom. I know some people have been really picky about that title, and some people are like, oh my gosh, you know, this tarnishes the name of Doom, but I was never particularly invested in the Doom franchise. I was just hoping for something fun for it, and I think, at least in the console space, not so sure about the PC side, but, you know, I'm not a PC gamer myself personally, I think Doom actually looks like it could be a lot of fun and just something to goof around on. It kind of has a Halo 4 vibe to me, where it doesn't seem like it's taking itself too seriously, and it's just going to be kind of a shoot 'em up where you go around stomping people, and that's pretty much, you know, my flavor of shooter. So I'm excited for that. I'd love to give you guys some first impressions. Oh yeah, and last but not least, Gears of War 4. I think that looks promising. I know some people kind of aren't impressed by the graphics, and I myself must say that I don't think the art design is particularly up to my taste. I'm not a graphics whore myself personally, but I do appreciate good art design, and I think Gears of War actually had some really colourful, vibrant maps, whereas this game looks a bit more like rusted and just a bit dark and dismal in my opinion. But I'm still excited to try out these games at the very least and give them a good go and showcase them on the channel and let you guys know my thoughts. But anyway, this is just a video to say that I'm back. I want to be making a lot more videos in the coming weeks, and I hope you guys are excited to see those. I have been Modest Major. Thank you very much for watching the commentary. Peace out.